Hey, everybody. Here we are moving into week number 3. And I think this is a good time to reflect on where we started. And that was with talking about what we're doing by emphasizing process. Here we are. We've been working for a couple of weeks. We have one big paper to write, and we have yet to actually start writing that paper. And we're still not going to be doing it this week either. We are, in fact, still taking our baby steps forward toward that goal and continuing to stress the work that goes into creating a well-considered academic paper other than just sitting down and typing it out. We need ideas. We need to conceive how those ideas matter to us and how they matter to those that we're trying to talk to. We need to find out what other people are saying about those ideas so we can present them in a way that shows our readers that we are truly informed and can be trusted. And we need to figure out what the optimal paths are towards trying to be as convincing as we can, because our ultimate purpose is to convince our readers that they should listen to us. All right, so that's a lot of stuff. In module 3, we can continue these trends. And the hope is that when you do get to sit down and type out this paper, everything will be at your fingertips and you'll be able to see how the result is much better than just going and doing it. All right, all at one go. Now, this week, you're refining your writing notes into a writing plan. In a lot of ways, that simply means you're adding detail to what you've just finished doing in your work for the second module. We're calling it a writing plan, and by this stage, the result should be that anyone looking at it should be able to get a really firm idea of what your paper will look like, including the ways you will approach your ideas and the ways you're going to support them. The other thing that you're doing is really digging into your sources by developing annotations for them. In academia, we do this with a document called an annotated bibliography, and it is often a required document for formal professional research projects. Now, as I said a moment ago about the writing plan, the notations for the sources have the same goal. Those reading your notations should really get a feel for what the source is, how it will be used in your work, and any complications that using it might have. Now, I say complications, but it really amounts to it can be good or bad. All right. It might be, how does this source combine with another source to create a really strong background for you? Or how does this source look at it in a different way than another source that makes it harder for you to get to where you want to go? All right. This is the place to kind of hash that sort of stuff out. Now, all of that informs the reader about how you'll structure your developed support in your paper. And that is the ultimate aim of this. Again, at the end of the day, anybody looking at your annotations should have a really good idea of what your support is going to look like in the finished product, because you're kind of projecting it. Now, before you get to notating, a big focus for this week is also on evaluating the sources you have. And I'd like to stress this too. Realistically, when you use academic databases, as you're encouraged to do here, and to a certain extent are required to do, what you should find should already be pretty reliable because of where you're getting it, all right, from those academic sources. However, even within the searches, there are grades of good, better, and best that you need to think about. You might still find news sources in your searches, and these are not rated the same as studies published in academic journals. The understanding is that all articles in academic journals and books published by academic presses is that they have undergone peer review. Now, we'll talk about that a little bit more later in the semester. But for our purposes right now, just understand that what peer review means is that they have been double checked and approved by other experts. People say, yep, they're right. And these are people that should know. All right. And that's what gives them a kind of a gold standard as far as, us trusting them. The same is not true of news stories about those same studies. So you might see a news story that's about a study, but the news story is just reporting what they think is important. And that might not be the same thing as the scientists who did the study. All right. That's just the way it is. Now, while you can trust academic journals to a higher degree than articles from elsewhere, you still have the responsibility to judge them for credibility. And an example I often use for my students is a study that I mean, I'm not going to show it to you right now, but in my regular classes, in my in-person classes, so we sit and look at it. All right. There's a study that I have as an example. It was published in 2019, and it's about the impact of the Mediterranean diet on preventing cancer. And that's probably something you've seen in various news sources. Real scientists did real research on this subject and published the results of a year-long study in a reputable online journal hosted by Wiley & Sons. And Wiley & Sons is a reputable publisher. They publish many of the textbooks used in humanities classes here at SNHU. The only thing is, if you look at the study, you'll see that it contains a note about who funded these scientists. And this nonprofit organization turns out to be one that promotes the interests of food wholesalers who specialize in foods associated with the Mediterranean diet. And that makes the results seem like they're a little self-serving. Now, does it invalidate the results? No, but it does mean that we should probably rank this one study lower in credibility than other studies where there is no discernible ulterior motive, where essentially the scientists don't have a dog in the race. All right. So it's unlikely that you'll have to get that deep into critiquing your sources. But I just want to show you that this is an essential part of the process. The bottom line is your argument is only as strong as the evidence that you present. We have a biblical metaphor about making a statue with the feet of clay and how it will crumble under the weight. And so what we want is to establish foundations that will keep your argument standing strong. The way that's done is by carefully considering how you are going to support it. All right. So we have a lot of little exercises to do this week. There are 4 different things that are graded elements for this week. 2 of them are being turned in on Brightspace. Those are the annotations and the writing plan. And then we have 2 exercises to perform on MindEdge. So it'll be a busy week for you. If you have questions about how anything is going to be done or how it should be done, if you have questions about the progress of your work, by all means, get in contact with me. All right. I'm hoping you know how to do that by now. All right. Till next time. Adios.